Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 14 of a 7-part series of tutorials in computer structured programming in C and Pascal. This is section 3 of 3 in the topic program writing. And in this presentation, or the purpose of this presentation, is purely to demonstrate how to write some programs to solve some problems using C and Pascal programming languages. My name is MMJM, or you can simply call me Emily Swap. So in this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to write some programs in a structured language, that is in C and in Pascal. And to do that, I'm going to demonstrate some programs or a program, a Pascal program that displays a welcoming message. I'll also demonstrate how to write a program that displays one's name and age using C programming language. I'll also illustrate or demonstrate a flowchart for a program that adds 3 numbers. Further, I'm going to demonstrate a program, a Pascal program that adds 3 numbers. Also, I'm going to illustrate how to write a C program for calculating net salary. In addition, and lastly, I'm going to demonstrate a C and Pascal program for determining product selling price and customer balance. Let's commence by looking at a program, a Pascal program that displays a welcoming message. Just as I said before in my previous presentations in this series, I said that a good program should have a comment. And therefore, this is a comment for my program. This comment reads, a program that displays welcoming message. You can see, my dear students and the rest of the learners, that this statement of mine, program that displays welcoming message, has been enclosed in between 2 braces, the opening brace and the closing brace, to tell the compiler in Pascal that that is a comment which is not supposed to be compiled. Then we have the program header, program welcome, input, output, semicolon. My dear students and the rest of the learners, my assumption is that you have listened to the other previous parts, especially those which were to do with program structure or program format, because I explained what each of these parts in Pascal mean. So we have program welcome. The name welcome is being used, or I'm using the name welcome with the name of my program because this program is supposed to welcome a person. And then we move on to declaring data items. So at this point, you declare your items. So which items am I going to declare in my case? I'm going to declare some variables, VAR. So which variables are these? So the first variable, or the first memory location, or the first memory location that I want to request my compiler to set aside is a memory location that I'm calling first name. And it will hold data of type string. Then, because then my program is only going to store request for a name and store it, I don't need to set any other memory location assigned. because it will be waste of memory. And therefore, my program has only one variable called the first name that is going to store text that represents somebody's name. Then we have begin. Remember, we said every Pascal program has its main body being composed of begin and the end that we are going to see just now. So under begin, I have this other comment. This comment indicates that what is following here is entering your first name through the keyboard. So this is the other way of writing comments in Pascal using the opening parenthesis, or what we call the left parenthesis, followed by an asterisk. Then you write your comment. You put an asterisk and you close with a right parenthesis. Know the difference between the first comment up there, that it makes use of braces, the left brace at the beginning and the right brace at the end, and this other one that is making use of parentheses. So right line, what is your first name? So the purpose of this statement is to prompt the user for first name. So the statement, first name, will be displayed on the screen. So right line. So the statement, what is your first name, will be displayed on the screen. And because our reserved word here is right line tells the compiler to write out this statement on the screen and then move down the next line. And therefore, the next statement, read line first name, will give the user an opportunity to type his or her first name and press enter. Whatever that he or she is going to enter will be stored in the memory location called first name that we have already set aside through the string variable that we have declared as first name. Next is a comment for displaying welcome message to the monitor. So what follows here, the next statement, is for displaying the welcome message on the screen. And here it is, right line, bracket. So right line what? For this statement, means or states, pick whatever value that is stored in the memory location called first name. So pick whatever is in first name, display it on the screen, followed by a message, welcome to the world of programming in Pascal. Welcome to the world of programming in Pascal. So if, for example, when you are prompted to enter your first name, you enter Julius, then this right line statement will display the output as Julius. Welcome to the world of programming in C. Julius, welcome to the world of programming in C. If you entered it, for example, your first name as Emily Swap, then this right line statement will display on the screen Emily Swap. Welcome to the world of programming in Pascal. Then we have this statement here. I said the purpose of this statement that is not followed by anything else, it is to pause or to give you an opportunity, or to give the compiler an opportunity to read nothing with reading something, but nothing that is going to be entered. So this statement is like a pause statement. It will allow you have an opportunity to see your output. Otherwise, without this green line at the end of your program, you will not be able to see your output directly after you are doing the compiling. You will have to open or to go to the output screen later. So this green line is always important. If at any time you are coding a program in Pascal and you are compiling it and you like to see the results after execution, then it's good to have green line statements like this one. It gives you an approach to see the results that are displayed on your screen or the results or simply your output for the program terminates. Then after that, the end. So this end, as I said before, it has execute. So that indicates the end of that program. So that's how you write a program, a welcoming program in Pascal. You can just copy this program and the rest of the programs in this presentation in your exercise book, and then you can open your Pascal program and type it directly, then proceed and compile and run it or execute it and see what it will give you as the output. My programs have no errors, and therefore, my dear students and the rest of the learners, in the case you copy this program exactly as it is, I repeat, exactly as it is, and any other program in this presentation, then these programs should run without errors. In the case you find out any error when you execute it, after you have typed or after you have copied and typed it on your editor, then just check your program in your editor as you compare it with my program in this presentation. The next program that I want to present to you, my dear students and the rest of the learners, is a program that displays your name and age in C language. Your name and age in C language. So this program displays one's name and age. Check at the comment. This is a comment statement in C. / asterisk, your comment, then asterisk, and / in. So that's how we write our comments in C. You enclose them between two / and you can see my placement of the comment. Then we begin with #include stdio.h. So I said in my previous presentations that this is ahead of time. Anytime you know that you're going to request the user to enter anything, or anytime you know that your program is going to display something on the screen, then it's important that you include this statement as your very first statement in your source code. #include stdio.h. What it tells is a preprocessor directive. We call it a preprocessor directive in C that tells the compiling advance that this source code will be making use of functions that have been stored in the input or that perform tasks for inputting and outputting. And therefore, you need to include this statement within your source code. Next is int main. So this is the main function. It always indicates the beginning of your program body. C. Int main. Then we have the parentheses, the pair of parentheses. Meaning is a main function. These ones I explained earlier in my earlier presentation, especially those parts that are covering program structure. Then we have the left brace, then a comment indicating that what follows here is declarations. Remember I said that declaring is requesting the compiler to set some memory location aside to be used to hold certain values. So here we have two declarations. One is car first name. This means that you are requesting the compiler to set memory location assigned that is going to hold the first name, which should not exceed 20 characters. So you're requesting the compiler to set memory location assigned that is going to hold a text, a string of characters, but those characters do not exceed 20. Then we have int age. We are declaring a memory location assigned upon the age that is going to hold value, which is going to be a whole number, like integer. Then the next activity we want to do is to include instructions for requesting the user to enter first name and the age, and also reading the same. So printf, what is your first name? What this statement means, just as it is that this statement or this instruction requests the compiler to, or the processor requests the processor to display on the screen printf function. I explained about its purpose. Its purpose is purely to write out value or to write out content either on the screen or on a file or in a file. So this statement tells the processor to display this message on the screen and move down below, one line below the statement. So the cursor, after the statement, what is your first name, is displayed on the screen, the cursor will be displayed or will be blinking. There will be a blinking underscore. A cursor will be blinking below your statement. What is your first name? Waiting for the next move. So printf, what is your first name? So display a statement, what is your first name on the screen, and move one line below. That is what \n means. That is an escape sequence character. You read it as a single character for a new line. Single character for new line. Then gets first name. My dear students, the rest of the learners, kindly note the syntax. So this one waits for the user to enter his or her first name. And once he or she presses the first name, once he or she has typed first name and press the enter key, that value will be picked and it will be stored in the memory location that we set aside on the first name and our declarations. So we are reading a variable, the content for a variable. That content is the first name. Then the next statement is to request the user his or her age. So display the following statement after you have dropped one line on the screen. That's what the first escape sequence ends. How old are you? So that statement, how old are you, will be displayed on the screen, and the cursor will be taken to the next line. So the message, how old are you, will be displayed, and then you are going to see the processor will be waiting, or the compiler will be waiting for the next entry directly below, how old are you? So that the entry that is going to be made, it will be made below the statement, how old are you, and not on the same line, how old are you? And then we are now reading the age. So this statement, scanf %3d, then the memory operator age, memory address operator age, simply means that get the value entered by the user, get the value entered, and this value is a whole number. So get the whole number value being entered by the user and store it in the memory location called age. The D there is for formatting purposes, for spacing purposes. And therefore, %3d. D we said before, it's an identification, it's an identifier for an integer, So percentage 3D or percentage D, first of all, is an identifier for an integer value. 3 is for spacing purposes. If you want to understand more about how we format the output, kindly listen to my previous presentations, especially on the part that we were discussing the output instructions or output statements in C and in Pascal. But this one is mostly in Pascal or in C. This is how we do it in C. Then from there, the next set of instructions that are following here is displaying your name and the age on the screen. So whatever that was entered as first name, mother's age will not be displayed on the screen through the following statement. Read if you are dash years old, so and so, and the age. So in other words, what this statement means is, or this is how we interpret this statement. So this part here is the escape sequence character. This one tells the processor to drop one line below so that in the case there was entering of the current screen, the content or the output is not displayed on the same line, but it is below whatever else that screen. So drop one line and then pick whatever is in the memory location called a character, first name. This %s is what we call identifier for a string variable, identifier of a string variable, s. So pick whatever is in the memory location, which is of type char or a string, and that is whatever that is stored in the memory location called first name. So pick whatever is in the first name and display it on the screen is point of the statement. So if you enter Julius as first name, then what we're going to see on the screen is your name will begin Julius. So you will see the statement like Julius, you are, Julius, you are. Then this is an identifier for an integer, meaning pick whatever is in the memory location called age. Pick whatever is in the memory location called the age, whose content is of type integer, and display it as point. So pick what is in the memory location called the age, which is holding value of type integer. Percentage E is identifier for an integer. So pick whatever is in the memory location called the age and place it here in the statement, followed by years old, and drop one line. So this statement will simply read, as follows. If you enter the name Julius as first name and age 20, then this statement will be displayed as follows on the screen. Julius, you are 20 years old. Julius, you are 20 years old. If you enter the first name as Emily Swap and age as 25, then it will read, Emily Swap, you are 25 years old. So that's what will happen. And then my next statement is return 0, semicolon. Return because in my main function, I am int main. Because it was integer, is supposed to return an integer value, then I'm returning a 0. because I have not done any computations or calculations for anything or any value that needs to be returned to the calling function, which is the main. And that's how you end the program with a writing brace. So that's how you write your program in C. A program for displaying your name and age. It prompts the user to enter his or her age and name and displays the output on the screen as we have seen. And that's the end of the program. So that's what this brace indicates, that this is the end of the main function or the main program. Let's now look at a flowchart for a program that has 3 numbers. So my title is a flowchart for a program, 3 numbers as the title. So as we said before, in my former presentations, we begin with the terminator. So every flowchart should have the starting point and the ending point, just as it is for programs. Every program should have a starting point or an entry point and an exit point. So start. We declare memory locations of the following variables: called toto1, num1, num2, num3. These are just names of variables. They stand for the total, number 1, number 2, number 3, or first number, second number, third number. So we use the rectangle, just as we said, whenever we have an operation like computation or assignment of something, especially calculations and computations. Also, we use the same for declarations. And then once we have done that, the next step is we prompt the user to enter 3 numbers: first number, second number, and third number. And because we are prompting the user to enter, we use this symbol. We use the parallelogram for input, the same way we use it for output. So once the values have been input, the next thing is to carry out the computation. We calculate total. So total will be equals to what is stored in memory location number 1, num1, and then to what is in memory location num2, and then to what is in memory location num3. So the sum, the total of the contents in memory locations num1, num2, and num3, the sum of that will be stored in memory location that we set aside called total. Then finally is to display the numbers and as first number, second number, and that number followed by a total. And with that, we come to the end of that program. So this is a flow chart for that purpose. My dear students and the rest of the learners, this is just a recap of what we discussed in the previous presentations in this series, especially on the program design or algorithm design, where we discussed flowcharts. So that's how we do a flowchart for a program that is supposed to prompt for 3 numbers, compute the total, and display them on the screen. Let's now look at our next program. Our next program is a Pascal program. A Pascal program that adds 3 numbers. A Pascal program that adds 3 numbers. Of course, these are based on the flowchart that we have already seen. So program that adds 3 numbers, that's the comment, followed by program header, program adding. Then we have input, output. I hope you remember what we said concerning this last part. And then we declare our variable. So var num1, num2, num3, total. So we set memory locations assigned, which are going to hold whole numbers, data of type integer, and those 3 memory locations are, or we are calling them num1, num2, num3, total. So we declare 4 memory locations. 1 to hold first value, number 2 to hold second value, number 3 to hold third value, and total to hold the total or the sum. Then we go to begin. So the first statement is, or instruction is, a statement requesting the user to enter 3 numbers. So the statement, enter 3 numbers to be added, will be displayed on the screen because that's the work of right line, and the cursor will drop 1 line. Then the second statement is read. Read what? Read 3 values. 1 value to go to number 1, the second one to go to number 2, the third one to go to number 3, in that order. So whatever will be entered by the user. So the user will enter first value, press enter. That value will be transferred and be stored in memory location record. Then the person will enter second value. So second number. Whatever will be entered second value, that number will be picked and stored in memory location record. And lastly, the user will press enter and then type the third value. That value will be picked and be stored in the memory location record. Once the 3 values have been entered and the user has pressed enter, then next is for the compiler to, or for the processor to perform the computation, calculate the total. And therefore, my statement here is for the comment for indicating that this statement is for computing total. So let me interpret this statement as it is. It reads as follows. Pick whatever that is stored in memory location record number 3, and that value or that content to the content of number 2, and also pick what is in the memory location record number 1 and add what you have gotten. In other words, this statement reads as pick the content of memory location record number 2 and to the content of memory location record number 2 and add the content of memory location record number 1. Pick the content of memory location record number 3 and that content, the content of memory location record number 2, and add or pick the content of memory location record number 1 and add to it. So the total after adding content of number 3, content of number 2, and content of number 1, whatever you are going to get as the sum, store it in memory location record total. Assign it to memory location called total. Once that is done, the next step is to display the sum of the numbers entered. So my comment is displaying the sum of the numbers entered. So this next statement should be one for displaying the sum of the numbers entered. So this statement tells the processor to display on the screen, write out on the screen, on the current statement, on the screen, the current line, on the current line of the screen, display what was entered as first value, followed by the additional sign. That's why it is in quotes. Once it is in those single quotes, it indicates that it is now acting as a character. It's acting as a character. So whatever was entered as number 1, displayed on the screen, followed by an addition sign, followed by what was entered for number 2, then followed by an addition sign, followed by what was entered as number 3, then followed by equal sign, and what was gotten as total. So this statement will display something like, if, for example, the user, or if you are prompted for a value and the user entered a number like for number 1, if for number 1, the user entered, for example, 20. So if the user entered 20, value 20, as number 1, if the user entered value 20 as number 1, so the user entered 20 as number 1. And for number 2, the user entered 30. For number 3, the user entered 40. enter the 40. Then I repeat what I have said. If the user was prompted for number and the user entered 20, the user entered the 20. Then for number 2, the user entered 30. And then for number 3, the user entered 40. Then the total, of course, is 90. So when it comes to the output, this statement of mine will be displayed as follows. Write out what? 20, then plus a character. Then number 2, then a character here. Then number 3, and a character, equal sign. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, with such a statement, this is what is going to be displayed on the screen. Right. Pick what is memory location equal to number 1. What is there is 20. Displayed on the screen. 20. So 20 will be displayed on the screen. Then followed by the character plus addition sign. So it will be directly displayed on the screen. Then processor will pick what is memory location 2. So what it was there is 30. That will be displayed on the screen. Then the character plus will be displayed on the screen. Then remember, the processor will pick what is in memory location 3, and what is there is 40. It will display it on the screen. Then followed by equal sign, and the total, that is relative total of what is in memory location called total. So this statement will display 20 plus 30 plus 40 equals 90, the entire equation. This is good, my dear students, isn't it? So try it. Copy this program in your exercise book or somewhere, and then try it out yourself using or in Pascal. So the right line statement will pause. It will pause a little bit to allow you to see what you have done. So it will write it will a new statement. Let me repeat this. Let me correct. Right line is for writing out. So right line will just write out an empty line without anything. It will write out an empty line. So from the equation that will be displayed on the screen, there will be a free line below there. And then read will allow the screen to pause, the program to pause, to read nothing, just to let the user be able to see the result of the execution. That's the work of read. It will just make the program or processor wait for something that is not really going to be entered. And then we end our program. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, try to copy this program in your exercise book and replicate it on your program and see what happens. My next program, our 50th program, is a program in C for calculating net salary. And as a reminder, my dear students and the rest of the learners, in my previous presentations in this series, I demonstrated how to develop an algorithm for a program for computing or calculating net salary using pseudocode and even using a flowchart. So kindly go back to the previous parts in this series and search for the one that is specifically, or the series of the presentations that are dealing with program design, or design of programs. And under the design, you are going to see the part for pseudocodes and flowcharts. And you are going to come across the algorithm, the flowchart for this problem, whose program we want to write. So as usual, my dear students, we begin with a comment, a program for calculating net salary. This is in C. Notes. Then hash include string.h. I'm going to explain that. Then we have our main function there. Then we have the symbol that indicates the beginning of execution of statements within our main function. That is left brace. Then we declare our variable. The variable in this case is variable for holding the rate, which is const double rate equals 0.14. So as I said in my previous presentations, this statement is doing two things. Number one, it is declaring a memory location called rate. So it is telling the compiler or processor to set memory location aside for the rate whose contents will be having decimal points or fractions. So it is type double. And that value will not be changing during program execution. So it's a constant. So this program or this statement is declaring a memory location or declaring a variable for the rate whose content will be a fractional or a value with a fractional part or with a decimal point, and that value will not be changing cost. Secondly, it is assigning or storing a value in state. We call it initializing. So the memory location called rate is being initialized with the value 0.14. So 0.14 is being stored in the memory location called rate that has already been set aside. Next is declaration of two or three more variables. Three more variables, which are going to hold data that contains decimal points or fractions. One is called the gross, the other one is tax, the other one is net. Next is a statement requesting the user to enter gross salary. So this statement will be displayed on the screen. Printf means write what is following or what is in the quotes on the screen. So printf, enter the gross salary. So that statement will be displayed on the screen. And because there is a sequence character n, the cursor will move on to the next new line. Then the next statement here is to read. It will allow the user to enter a value. That value will be picked as gross. So the value picked will be stored in the memory location that is set aside for the gross. And what type of value, the type of value that is expected is a value that also contains a decimal point or a fractional part. So LF, in this case here, is an identifier. Is an identifier for double data type. Is an identifier for double data type. Double data type. Then next is we compute. So this is a computation statement. Compute the tax as pick what is entered in the memory location recording gross, multiplied by what has been stored in the memory location record rate. Whatever result you are going to get, assign it in the memory location or store it in the memory location recorded tax. Then calculate net. Net, calculate it as pick what is in the memory location record tax and subtract it from the memory or from what is stored in the memory location record gross. The results we are going to get, the value I'm going to get, store it in the memory location record net. Then display the following on the screen. Display, first of all, drop one line from the current line, then display the heading gross, put a space, two spaces, the /T are tabs sequence characters. They are for producing tabs, creating tabs. So gross, two tabs or two spaces, then display the one tax, space, then net, drop down to the next line, and then display the values, gross, tax, and net, formatted in the manner of, for example, gross should not exceed 6 characters, and 2 of those characters should be on decimal point for the fractional part, and one of them is decimal point. So the value that is going to be entered should be formatted or should have at least a minimum of 6 characters, but even if there will be more, the whole numbers part will be higher. The decimal point, the fractional part should not exceed 2 characters. So gross formatted as at least 6 characters, with 2 of them being reserved for the fractional part. Then have a space. Then pick what is memory location called tax, display it on the screen after having spaced it from tax, and it should be at least minimum of 6 characters, with the 2 of them being reserved for the fractional part. Then have a space, 2 spaces. Display the content of memory location coordinate. Let it have the fractional part not exceeding 2 characters. And then return 0. That is the end of that program or that function. Then we end the program. So that's how our program will look like in C. Just as I have said, you can copy it and write it or code it in your C editor or in C++ editor for Visual Studio C++ program. Lastly, let's look at how we develop a program in C and Pascal that determines selling price of a product after a discount of 5% and calculates customer's balance. In other words, the following is a program in both C and Pascal that calculates the customer's balance after having been fed with the selling price and having been informed that the discount is 5%. So we'll begin with the program in C. This time, our comment is program to compute sales, discount, and balances. Hash include, so we declare or we include our header file for input and output, because we are going to make use of keyboard and our. Then we have void main, so it's no longer int. And then we declare our variables. In this case, double. We declare our variables as double. That means they have whole decimal points with them, their fractional parts. And these are set memory locations assigned to both numbers with decimal points, called memory locations called the price, memory location called discount, amount, total, cash issued, and balance. Then declare another memory location assigned called discount rate and assign it value 5. So set the memory location assigned that is going to hold numbers with decimal points of fractional parts, and in 8 assign 5. Then declare memory location assigned that is going to hold a whole number quantity. So the next is a comment for inputting selling price and the quantity bought. So we request the user to enter the selling price, input the item selling price. So this statement will be displayed on the screen. This is the next statement is to read the value that is going to be entered by the user, and we expect it to have a decimal point or a fractional part, and then we store it in memory location called the price. Then we request again the user to enter the number of items purchased. How many items of that type have been purchased? For example, if someone has bought 5 breads and the person has entered the selling price of the bread as 50, and then the person has bought 5 breads, so the person will enter 5. That value 5 will be picked and be stored in the memory location called the quantity. And of course, that value is a whole number. And then next is to calculate the amount. So the amount, the total amount of the items bought will be the price for one item times the number of items. So this statement means or is as follows. Pick what has been stored in memory location called the quantity, multiply it with what is stored in memory location called the price. The total or the results you are going to get, assign them or store it in the memory location called amount. I repeat, pick whatever is stored in memory location called the quantity, multiply it with what is stored in memory location called the price. The answer or the results, store them in the memory location called amount. Then to calculate the discount, pick what is stored in memory location called discount rate, multiply that with 100, and then what you are going to get, multiply it with what is stored in memory location called amount. The results, the overall results that you're going to get, assign or the overall value that you're going to get, store it in the memory location called discount. In other words, this statement means multiply the content of memory location called discount rate with 100 and with what is stored in memory location called amount, and the results you are going to get, assign them in the memory location called discount. Then to calculate the total amount that the customer is going to pay, pick what is the memory location called discount, subtract it from the content of memory location called amount. Whatever you're going to get, store it in memory location called total. Then next is to display our results. So print if. So this statement means display the following on the screen after having dropped one line. Total cost for the items bought, followed by what has been stored in the memory location called amount. And what you are going to display on the screen should not exceed 7 characters, out of which 2 should be for the decimal point. So if, for example, what is in the amount memory location is 150 cents, 100.50, then this statement will be displayed on the screen as follows. Total cost for the items bought, 100.50. Total cost for the items bought, 100.50. Then the next statement will display the discount given. So drop one line and display the following on the screen. Discount qualified for. So pick what is the memory location called discount, display it on the screen, but ensure whatever is displayed is of maximum number of characters 7. And out of the 7, 2 of them should be for the cent section of decimal point parts. So if, for example, what you have as a discount is 15.75, 15.75. So what is in discount? Then this statement will be displayed on the screen as follows. Discount qualified for 15.75. Then this next statement is to display the amount of money the customer will pay. So what it really means is display the following on the screen. Print it out on the screen. Drop one line and then display the following there. Amount to pay. So if what is in the total memory is maybe 90 and 45 cents, 90.45, then this statement will read as amount to pay 90.45 4, 5. Then from there, we compute or we calculate the customer's balance. What will be the balance? So what will be the actual amount the customer will pay? Or in other words, after the customer has been told how much to pay, he or she may give the cashier a certain amount. For example, 1,000 shillings, 1,000 shillings note. So once that amount has been given to the cashier, that amount will be entered in the program. So this statement states as follows, or this is what it will do. The processor will drop 2 lines and then display the message, enter cash amount issued by the customer. Then the cashier will type 1,000. That 1,000 will be picked and be stored in the memory location called cash issued. So the amount entered can have decimal points. It is of type double. That's what the percentage here means. So this statement reads as follows. Read or pick the value that is being entered, expected to have a decimal point, and store that value in the memory location called cash issued, whose content is expected to have a decimal point. Then from there, the processor will calculate the difference of the balance. So how do you get the balance? Pick what is the memory location called total, subtract it from the content of memory location called cash issued. Whatever you get as the result, store it in the memory location called balance. Now we display the amount, or we display our final values. So we display, or this statement will be displayed as follows. Drop 1 line and display the message, amount paid. Pick what is the memory location called cash issue. That is 1,000 shillings, for example. So it will read amount paid 1,000.00. Then next statement will be displayed 1 line below. Customer's balance amount is, so whatever remains as the balance, whatever you have seen as the balance will be displayed on the screen, and that value should be maximum of 7 characters, but 2 of those characters should be reserved for the decimal point part, the cents. And then we end our program. So that's how we write our program in C. You can just copy it in your exercise book, code it in your C++ editor, save it with .c, compile it, run it, and see how it will behave. Then let's have the same program in Pascal. The comment is there. Then program sales. We declare our variables. So here we use one of our variable or one of our items. We declare our items. One of the items we are going to declare is uses, CRT, uses. This is a function, is a function that stores the various, or this is, I can say this is simply a function that explains how to handle the screen, for example, how to clear the screen. So uses CRT. So this function will have statements that allows us to, for example, clear the screen. And then we declare memory location assigned on discount rate, which is going to hold a value that will be changing 0.05. And then we declare a variable, memory locations that are going to hold content, which can be changing during program execution. And that content should be content that can accommodate decimal point or fractional part. That is real. Then we declare another memory location for holding a value that will be a whole number. That is quantity. Then we begin. So the first set of instructions are those ones for requesting for the selling price and quantity bonus. So we clear the screen. So whatever will be displayed on the screen will be cleared during execution. When you're running the program, on the output screen, the output screen will be cleared first with this function. This function is in the uses. I can say that uses, we can also say that this uses here, this uses, we can call it a file that contains various functions. A file that contains various functions, like function for clearing the screen, changing screen color, other activities or operations. So because we have the uses, that's why we have this function working. If you have to clear the screen, you have to use this function to clear whatever might be output the screen. You have to make use of the uses declaration there. Then write. So this statement will be displayed on the screen. Input the items selling price. Input the items selling price. Then the user will type a value. That one will be picked and pasted in memory function called price. Then a new statement, a new line will be written on the screen, and the line. Then you are going to have the next statement being displayed as input the number of items purchased. Then the user will enter certain value. So this statement will read that value, store it in the memory location called. Then from there, we are going to do calculations. So to get the amount, pick what is the memory location called the quantity, multiply with what is in the memory location called the price, and then assign the total to the memory location called the amount. To get the discount is get or pick what is in the memory location called discount rate, subtracted is from what is in the memory location called amount. Whatever you're going to get as the answer, store it in the memory location called discount. Then to calculate or to know the total that the customer is supposed to pay, pick what is the memory location on discount. Subtract it from the memory location, what is in the memory location called amount. What you are going to get, store it in the memory location called. Then display the following: an empty line, and then the statement, total cost for the items bought. Pick what is in the memory location called amount, and then ensure that the decimal point part does not exceed 2 characters and does not exceed 7. So if, for example, what is in the amount, memory location is 142 cents, then this statement will read as total cost for the items bought 100.42. 100.42. Then write out an empty line. Other ones have one space, drop one line. Then display the following statement: discount qualified for. Pick what is the memory location called discount. Whatever is there, formatted to be maximum of 7 characters, with the 2 of those characters after the decimal point being, no, in other words, not exceeding 2 characters. So if, for example, what is in the discount is 15.67, then this statement will read as discount qualified for 15.67. Then calculating and displaying customers' balance. So we write out one line, drop another one line, and then the statement will be displayed on the screen as enter cash amount issued by the customer. So the person, the cashier, will get, for example, the amount given. If the amount given is 1,000, that amount will be entered by the cashier by typing on the keyboard, and then press enter. Once enter is pressed, that value will be picked and be stored in the memory location called cash sheet. And then the processor will calculate the balance by picking what is the memory location called total, subtract it from what is the memory location called cash sheet. And the result will be stored in the balance memory, or memory called balance. And then write out a blank line and display the following on the screen. amount paid, pick what is in the memo location called the cash sheet. So whatever that was entered by cashier as the cash given by the customer will be displayed here. So if it is 100, it will be 1,000. It will be displayed as amount paid, 1,000. Then on the line, and then the customer's balance will be, write the following statement on the screen, drop one line. Right? So customer's balance amount is, pick what is the memo location set aside called the balance. Whatever is there, displayed on the screen, ensure that the fractional part does not exceed 2. For example, it can be read, customer's balance amount is 90.454, whatever it is, whatever value that is there will be displayed there, but the decimal point or the fractional part should not exceed 2 characters. And then the program ends. So that's how we write our program in Pascal. And with that, with those few examples, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of the topic on writing programs. And we have also come to the end of this presentation. Congratulations for learning section 3 of the topic program writing. You can also access section 1 and 2 of this topic, other topics in the computer structured programming unit, as well as other computer or ICT videos by clicking or tapping on the ICT YouTube channel below this video. You can also visit the Life Skills YouTube channel for free life skills, motivational, and inspirational resources. To subscribe to the channel, tap on the subscribe button below this video in YouTube. If it's not currently reading, subscribe. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emilyswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in the next part of this series. God bless.